So Chapter 14, Local Government and Finances. The municipal government in North Carolina. There are different types of local government. We have 100 counties. Every county has a county seat. These county seats are usually known as municipalities. These are cities, towns, villages that raise money through taxes and spend public funds. Both counties and municipalities have a legislative and executive branch. Some have a judicial branch, although state courts decide cases involving ordinances, which are local laws. Here's a picture of all 100 of our counties. That's where I'm from. That's where we are. Municipalities. North Carolina has more than 540 cities, towns, and villages. All of these are municipalities. Each city or town has been incorporated as a municipality. The state had declared that specific geographic area a municipality and given it a charter, which outlines basic rules for that municipal government. The General Assembly gives municipal governments the authority to annex adjacent areas, even if people in adjoining areas do not want to be annexed. So they can keep adding into the municipality, basically the surrounding rural area, they can annex it or add it to their territory. Each North Carolina municipality elects its own governing board, like a local legislature. The governing board usually called the city council or the town council or board of commissioners or board of aldermen. City council is usually the most common. Governing board passes ordinances that establish municipal policies, approve budgets, set municipal tax rates, regulate what people can do inside the municipality's boundaries. There are at-large elections for the governing board. All voters can vote for all members of the board. Elections can also be held by district. Most municipalities in North Carolina have a mayor. Voters elect the mayor. The mayor presides over the meetings of the governing board. North Carolina mayors are not responsible for administering their municipal government, which means that they are not responsible for the day-to-day workings. They usually hire a city council or a city manager or a council manager. County government, there's 100 counties in North Carolina. Each county has to follow state guidelines as well as local public policy. County commissioners are the major governing body. They set the county tax rates, approve the county budget, and establish county policies. Terms and number of commissioners vary from county to county. Some responsibilities. The Board of County Commissioners has general responsibility for county policies, but the General Assembly has created independent boards to oversee services required by the state. Example, oversee administrators for education, elections, mental health, public health, social services, alcoholic beverage control, and soil and water conservation. We also have LEAs, which you are a part of, is the local education authority for the county. Each LEA has its own board of education. North Carolina has 100 counties, but 115 public school systems. This is because there's 100 county systems and 15 city systems. Example, Columbus County and Whiteville City. Our board of education, which this is an old picture. These are actually the current members who are on there. Monty Herring, Steve Long, Junior Dew, Worley Edwards, Randy Coleman, and then Bill Phipps is the attorney. County offices. Counties also use a professional manager to administer the policies and services the board has established. County manager reports to the Board of County Commissioners. Eddie Madden is currently our county manager. County departments. County manager appoints people who head some county departments and has the power to hire or fire all the people who work in those departments. Not all departments report to commissioners. For example, the sheriff's department reports to the sheriff. The local public health department hires a health director, and the local school board hires a superintendent of public schools. Jody Green is our sheriff. Dr. Deanne Meadows is our superintendent. So some services provided by the county. I'll let you read through all of them, but these are all different services provided by our county. Services provided by the county and the city. And again, I'll let you read through them. So, coordinating a budget. While the sheriff, the superintendent of schools, and other agencies are not under the control of the county manager, they do have to coordinate efforts in order to draft a budget for the county. So they have to kind of come together and establish a budget every year. Special districts, most common type of local government, like the Board of Commissioners run these special districts. Board can collect taxes from district residents to pay for the services it provides or charge user fees. An example would be the Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority or the Research Triangle Regional Public Transportation Authority. So tolls and that kind of stuff. Government finances, the state budget process. The budget has two parts, revenues and expenditures, which is really the same two parts of any budget. Income, and then what you spend. So it's a biennial budget, meaning it's a 2-year budget. North Carolina runs July 1st to June 30th. That's our fiscal year or financial year. The governor's role, state budget planning begins with the governor's office. The governor must propose a balanced budget every year by law. The General Assembly's role studies and revises the budget. They usually have difficulty agreeing on a budget, and it leads to no new budget by the start of the new fiscal year. So the legislature must pass a temporary spending bill so the government can operate. Expenditures and revenues, health and human services, and public education account for more than half of all state government spending. Revenue, half of the state's revenue comes from state taxes, state sales, and use state sales and use tax, and then gasoline taxes. Intergovernmental revenue, which is basically money from the federal government to the state government, accounts for a quarter of state revenues. So what happens if we do a really good job budgeting and have a surplus? The surplus goes into savings or emergency fund. It's basically, as far as borrowing money, North Carolina governments cannot borrow money for their operating expenses. They can borrow money for major purchases like land or buildings. So the disadvantage of borrowing, there are interest payments on it. And that's true just like if you were an individual. But the only difference is when we are individuals, we want to borrow money, we go to a bank. When governments want to borrow money, they issue things called bonds. So there are two different types of bonds. Revenue bonds are for revenue producing projects like toll bridges or parking structures, where you're building the thing and then it's going to pay itself off. Then you also have general obligation bonds, which finance public works projects. These have to be approved by the voters before it can be made into a bond. Municipal and county budgets. North Carolina county municipality government must adopt a budget for every year. Local governments are required by law to pass a balanced budget by July 1st of each year. Expenditures, a third of all municipal expenditures pay for utilities. This is your water, sewer, trash, electricity. The next largest expense is public safety, which are your police and firefighter services. Revenues, a third of all municipal revenues come from utility user fees, which is what the citizens pay in order to use the water, the sewer, the trash. 35% of revenue comes from property taxes, and then intergovernmental revenues make up another major source of revenue for both municipalities and counties. This money comes usually from the state gas tax. And that's it.